All right, welcome back, everyone, again that would be the second time tonight. Apologies for the technical difficulties there. This is Droid Live Show, episode 2, and I'm Rose Callan, and the whole crew is with us, Tim, Ron, and Eric. Everyone say hi real quick.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
So, as I was saying before the technical difficulties, we have a great show. Ahead of us. And basically, we have 3 tablets to give away from NVIDIA. They sponsored the show basically tonight. So we got 3 Nexus 7 16GB tablets. And basically, to win those, all you have to do is hang out in the chat, which is at the site. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Google+, you got to come over to Droid Live, so droid-live.com. Join in the chat and basically just hang out, chat with the crew, the community. And towards the end of the show, we're going to pick 3 winners randomly from those hanging out in the chat. So that's how you can enter, and that's how you can win. So anyways, to get this started, we're actually going to try to invite in Dave, our East Coast correspondent. He's actually at the Samsung event right now. So we're going to try to bring him in live and just see what happens. But until then, Tim, why don't you give us a update on the Giants game real quick?
Oh, update Giants game. As far as I know, it's still 1-0 Giants, thanks to a bottom of the first home run from Pablo Sandoval. So as long as we can hold him back and Verlander doesn't completely screw us, we'll be all right.
All right, sweet. So anyways, it might give we'll give Dave a second to join here. So again, Nexus 7 giveaway, 3 of them. They're all 16 gigabytes and from NVIDIA. Make sure to follow them at NVIDIA Tegra. And yeah, at the end of the show, we will go ahead and give those away. So anyway, while we're waiting for Dave to hopefully join us, and if he doesn't, that's no big deal. He's at the Samsung event. And basically, they announced a bunch of the same Galaxy Note 2 that you guys have seen 100 times. So it was sort of a silly thing, but it was more of a party than anything. So anyway, let's go into rumor talk while we're waiting for Dave. And as you guys all know, we saw the first pictures ever of the HTC DLX. No, not the DIX, the DLX. So first photos of it basically look like the J Butterfly that we saw announced for Japan. 1080p display, 5-inch, 16 gig internal storage, 2 gigabytes of RAM, Jelly Bean. It looks like the phone I think we've all been waiting for. But then today another leak came out that said the name could possibly be Droid Dna. Is this the worst name ever? Tim, give me your thoughts on Droid Dna.
I actually think it's pretty awesome. I mean, like my initial reaction is like, whoa, Droid Dna. I don't know. I just think it sounds pretty cool.
Anybody else? Thoughts on Droid Dna? I mean, is the droid name, obviously, like, it helped get us this website started, but has it just kind of lost everything that it used to stand for?
Don't be a hater. Like, don't be a hater. Come on.
Yeah. Come on, but Droid Dna. What the hell does that even mean? Ron, Droid Dna?
Of course, go to the resident hater. It's not a great name, but I think that's you think back to the original Droid and everything that was. The Droid 2 was not a good successor to it. The Droid 3, Droid 4. I mean, none of these have been. But I think if you look at it as a successor to the Incredible and the Resound, those are not. I mean, the Resound wasn't a Droid device, but it may as well have been. Those were good devices in their time period. So I mean, this looks like a good device. So, but when I think of Droid, I instantly think of the original Motorola Droid, and nothing really fits that category. And honestly, most people wouldn't want that device today anyway. So I'm still holding out that Motorola eventually has an anniversary edition with updated specs as the exact same chassis, but that'll probably never happen.
Yeah, I mean, this whole Droid thing, you're right. Every single follow-up device has basically been, I don't want to call it garbage, but they haven't lived up to.
Yeah, it's been pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, so like the original Droid came out and it sort of started this whole Android craze, right? And since then, nothing has even come close to doing it. Like the Incredible was a good device too, but the Incredible 2 was just sort of a slight bump, and now the Incredible 4G is basically not a bump at all. It's sort of an embarrassment. But so I guess this is like the first big Droid device, assuming it ends up being called DNA. It'll sort of maybe grab that tag, maybe revive it. I'm not really sure. Eric, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. Hopefully they'll do a big marketing campaign like they used to do for every Droid that launched. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm anxiously awaiting the phone. I'm probably going to get it no matter what name it's called. I'll just call it my phone. But I don't know. I'm kind of torn. On one hand, I can see what Tim's talking about. DNA's it's got some appeal, but on the other hand, it's another name in the long line of bad names for Droid so far.
You sounded like an Apple fanboy there for a second. I'm just gonna get it no matter what they call it. I don't even care what's in it. I'm just gonna get it. But
so it looks like Dave tried to join, and he's probably having technical difficulties. So we might have to skip on the live event cut-in. But anyway, so the other thing about this Droid DNA is that the price, potentially $199 on 2-year contract, and then we could see it by November 20th. So $199, the Galaxy Note's coming out in a couple of weeks. Well, Verizon won't necessarily announce that, but it's going to be $299 no matter what. And this Droid DNA is sort of along those lines. I mean, it's a bigger device. By the way, we've banned the word phablet, so you can't say that on air or on the site ever.
What?
But it's basically a 5-inch, right? It's a big hybrid, tablet sort of thing, and it's $199. So I don't know about you, but that almost seems like a steal. First 1080p display, 2 gig of RAM, quad-core processor. Is Verizon finally coming around? Tim, $199? Eric's apparently already bought it, so does that make you want to buy this?
Somebody already has my money somewhere.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I really like big displays. Technically, I'm still on my Nexus for another year, technically, contract-wise, so will it probably be getting my money? No, because if I'm like everyone else where, I actually get a phone and I have to wait 2 years to get another one and I'm not lucky and, get review phones and I have to send them back all the time, then I'm waiting. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, I guess I was just surprised at such a high-end phone coming in at $199. It almost feels like Verizon's going to do something to it to make it not worth it. But
I think Samsung
they have a tendency to do that.
Yeah, Samsung's going to be pretty mad if HTC can undercut them $100 and arguably have the same device.
Well, thankfully, there's no home button for them to put a Verizon.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, you know what would make me want to not buy a phone? Putting Verizon's logo on the home button.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Ron, did you have something to add there?
I was just going to say, I mean, other than the giant display, there really isn't a lot of comparison to the Note. I mean, the Note's kind of, with the stylus, kind of makes it its own device. So I don't know if they'll really be competing in the same space other than their giant phones that are probably too big.
Yeah, they probably are too big. So that's interesting that you bring that up, because the Note, it really is, it has this pen, which they've totally upped the ante on the whole software side of things. And if this HTC phone comes out, it's just going to be running Sense 4 Plus or whatever. There's no, at least as far as we know, once we saw the J Butterfly, there was no extra special suite of apps or pen companion or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it really is just a giant HTC phone with a lot of power. So maybe that's why, because it doesn't have a pen. Maybe the pen costs $100 or something like that. All right, let's move on from that phone, although we're still excited about it. Okay, we're just going to do this really quickly. Last week I brought up this device called the Razer X, and today it appeared over at Droid forums in this sort of really random timeline list, along with a Motorola Nexus. It's probably not real. We have really no idea, but it was just sort of interesting that it came up a week after we already talked about it. So it's either somebody listened to our show and trolled Droid forums, or it's, I'm not really sure. So I don't necessarily want to waste any time on it. They did bring up key lime pie and things like that, unless you guys have something to add, but it's sort of hard to believe that it could be true. Does anybody have anything to add about that? I'm sure you guys saw that post. Anybody? I mean,
it sounds cool.
It sounds cool, right? But I mean, there's nothing to really back it. We basically threw it up as
there's no info.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a conversation starter for us, but that's really all we could go on, right?
Yeah. We could hype beast it all day, but that doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing to consider too is considering that the event is on Monday. Those are the only leaks. If it is real, there's no way it's coming on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think for sure it would be coming that soon. I think it would be more like Q1 or Q2 of next year.
Q1, Q2.
Yeah.
Which also, if it is like a Nexus device, that would be, to have, a little bit more releases during the year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, quarterly Nexus releases would definitely be welcome.
Oh. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. All right, so let's just move on from that. So the other big, well, some of it's rumor, most of it we sort of know, and it is that Android event that you talked about, Ron. So on Monday, I'll be at this Android event in New York, and we're just going to get to see what's new in Android, right? So we're probably going to get 4.2, which we're pretty sure is still Jelly Bean. I mean, it's leaked in benchmarks, and the build number starts with a J, so it's going to be Jelly Bean, and it's going to be 4.2. But as far as the event goes, LG Nexus 4, which we've seen 1,000 times, including some new press renders today, 3G Nexus 7, 32 gigabyte Nexus 7, and then apparently rumored Nexus 10 with the super high resolution made by Samsung and all that. So just when we say Android event NYC next Monday, those 4 devices, I just want to know initial thoughts, just what comes to your mind. I'll just start with Tim. What's the first thing you think of?
For next week's event?
Yeah.
Probably just new version of Android, I feel, is the only one I can officially say okay in my mind. And then maybe LG Nexus I'm figuring, but I'm just I'm officially okay, new Android version 4.1.2.1, who knows. But and LG Nexus, I don't know, there's so much that could happen.
Yeah, Ron, what do you think? What's the first thing that comes to your mind, or what are you most excited about that event?
Actually, the 3G Nexus 7, I guess, is good. 32 gigabytes is fine. There's nothing crazy surprising from what we've seen so far, or crazy innovative or anything else like that. So, I guess the big thing that, at least that I'm hoping that they do, for the invitation, it looks like a Google Now card, and at I/O, they had talked about how Google Now isn't just an Android thing, it's a new platform thing. So I'm hoping they talk a little bit more about that. They started to kind of introduce, if you did a Google search for weather, they had a little weather card in Google search in the browser. So they've kind of added some of that, but I'd be interested to see if they have any more to add to that. I think that would be interesting. So.
Yeah, Google Now, I think all of us want to see just explode and become this amazing tool. It's cool right now. It's sort of limited a little bit, but I think we all want Google Now to sort of blow up. Eric, what are you excited about?
Oh, wait, dear.
Oh, I think I hear Kanye there.
Cover.
What's up, Dave?
Dave,
hey, guys.
what's up, man?
Oh dear.
Yeah. Dave, we can see you. The audio is just it's not working. Yeah, I think he's gonna cut out.
It's almost as good as Ron's quality from last week.
Almost.
I think it's a little bit better. There's just no audio. Anyway, Dave, if you can hear us, pan around just so everyone can see what's going on, so they can see Kanye punching Taylor Swift or something.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Really? On the day that her new album gets dropped?
Did it come out today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
I wouldn't.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like Dave is gone. Oh no, he's still kind of there. Anyway, Dave, just wave to everyone. It was nice to have you, bud, but we can't really hear. We can't really hear you.
We tried.
Sorry, Dave.
Okay. Anyways, back to the Android event. So, Eric, did you have a chance to talk about what you're most excited about?
No, not yet. Like Ron said, I think they are going to go full out on Google Now. I feel like they're going to roll out some. I don't think they're going to do big changes, but they're going to, show that this is what they're going to do going forward. Earlier this week with the new Chromebooks, they said that the Chromebooks would have access to Google Now. So they're kind of slowly starting to pull it more into the fold. So I'm anxious to see what they've got in the next version of Android for Google Now.
Yeah, I think for me, it seems like it's more. I guess the problem is with all these leaks of the LG Nexus and that we know there's new Nexus 7s coming out. It sort of takes a little bit of the fun of it. And so now I'm really just looking to see what's new in Android, because all we had was a couple of rumor posts about what's new in Android, and those apparently turned out to be fake. So that is sort of the one mystery. So I can't wait to see exactly what is new. Another thing I wanted to bring up, though, as far as the Android event goes, there's been a lot of talk about just LG in general and whether or not they're worthy of making a next Nexus. They made a bunch of devices over the last couple of years that were, nobody really picked them up. While I love the Optimus G and it's a really nice phone, there's still been a lot of sort of LG hate, in the comments and stuff like that. So I mean, Tim, is LG? Obviously, I don't know that they're anybody's like Nexus manufacturer of choice, but like, and you sort of said earlier that you weren't all that excited about this device. What's not exciting you that much about it?
That was a personal talk between you and me. I said I wasn't very excited because I felt, and I used the word, the only word I could really think of was uninspired. When I looked at the front of the LG Nexus, I'm like, wow, that looks a lot like a phone that I already have. And I don't need a phone I already have. I want the next best thing.
Yeah, but just imagine the phone that you already have, but with a glittery back.
Make it sparkle.
Yeah, it's a manly sparkle. Don't worry about it.
It does look nice, but if Dave's back.
Dave's back one more time. Oh, here he's showing us something.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, look at all these people.
There it is. The live cut in.
It's a party.
So, for those watching at home,
you're muted.
there, I just tried to mute Dave. Anyway, so as you guys can see, this is sort of a live look-in at what a press event looks like, and this is actually more than a press event. So this is fans just of Samsung in general. It's probably, I think there's probably supposed to be celebrities and stuff there. Samsung usually throws these parties that involve all sorts of people. And as you can see, there's hands-on time. That looks like some sort of DJ equipment, I would guess. So, actually, this is actually kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. The live cut-in with Dave.
What do we know what device he's using for that? It looks pretty high quality there.
I think he's using the Galaxy Nexus.
Whoa.
I don't believe
back what
that.
you just said.
Whoa.
I don't believe that.
I don't know what else. Well, he does have a Razer M, but I thought he was a big G-Nex guy.
No, he's probably using the Razer N then.
Huh.
It could be. Is everyone in the chat able to see this? Or are you guys just seeing us talk? It's sort of tough to tell.
I got someone saying, this is awesome.
That can mean anything.
That could mean they're not seeing anything. So, all right. Anyways, I think we've seen enough of the Samsung event. Thanks, Dave. If you can see us, I'm kicking you out though.
We love you.
We love
Goodbye.
All right.
Just a quick update real quick. It's 4-0 San Francisco Giants.
Oh, damn. They're taking it to him.
Wow. What inning is it?
I think it's top of the 4th.
Oh, all right. Sweet.
Yeah. Top of the 4th, it looks like.
All right, cool. So anyways, yeah, we were talking about LG sort of being worthy. And it's funny you guys bring up the whole glittery backside. So, you know, like when I got the Optimus G, it's one of the first things you sort of look at because, you know, you kind of twist the phone around and it sparkles in your eye and it looks kind of cool. But on the Nexus, it does look kind of girly. I mean, it looks like a sparkly back. And then after I had that Optimus G and the back cracked and I still can't figure out how, like it just sort of scares me a little bit that thing's just, I don't know. So anybody else have any final thoughts on if LG's worthy of making the next Nexus, or if you're excited for LG, or if you'd rather it be somebody else?
I think my thoughts are LG's intentions are good, but every time they take 2 steps forward, it's always 1 step back. You know, they put quad core in there, 2 gigabytes of RAM, and then all of a sudden, you know, your back breaks for no reason. You know, it's just little things like that they just can't seem to get everything in line to really fix their reputation. So,
oh, LG. All right. So the last thing then about this NYC event, is there any chance in hell that we see a Samsung tablet with the crazy high resolution, or are we going to see like a prototype and they'll say this might be coming soon, or any chance, Eric, that we see this?
It would be a pretty big stretch, I think, for them to even hint at it. You know, they're obviously working on it. They had those Picasso pictures posted earlier this week, so somebody has one out there. But I feel like it's way too early, and especially with them announcing the 3G Nexus 7, their priorities are elsewhere right now.
That's all right. I just banned Dave, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would be really surprised if they showed off the Samsung tablet. I mean, we saw the picture on Picasa, and it was apparently a picture taken at a testing factory. So it wasn't like it was an Android engineer that owned this thing, was snapping pictures, and there hasn't been any sort of leaks whatsoever other than that one picture. So yeah, it would be sort of surprising. Well, I would love to see it. I think we're going to get the 2 new Nexus 7s and then the Nexus 4, and that's probably it. So any last thoughts from anyone on just the Android event in general? No. All right.
Not really.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch real quick on I don't know what got interrupted and what got started on the beginning of the show, but I wanted to talk about the 3 tablets that were given away and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But and you never really got to finish, I think, how we're doing it and what the rules are, maybe, or something like that.
Oh, you want me to go back over that? Yeah, it might have got cut off.
That'd be great.
Lost track to that. Okay, so everyone, if you've rejoined or now just joining us, we have 3 tablets to give away. 3 Nexus 7, 16 gigabytes. The version from NVIDIA is going to sponsor those. So basically, all you have to do to join or to participate in the contest is hang out on the site. So droid-life.com. We've got a post up with the chat. And so to enter, you just have to hang out in the chat with the rest of the community, chat with us, sort of participate. But you don't have to even participate. Just hang out in there if you want. And then towards the end of the show, probably 6:45, 6:50-ish West Coast time, we're going to go ahead and select 3 winners randomly from the chat. So if you're in the chat, we'll PM you and private message you, and that's how you can win. So is that good, Tim?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. No.
And and for anyone listening, I know that we're having troubles in the chat. Like, we're having a lot of server splits because the server that they're using is just not built for this type of traffic. So if you're getting kicked, just keep joining. But you heard like around 6:45. Try and join around then, and that way you're in there when we are choosing a winner. So that's all I have to say.
Or 9:45 if you're Eastern.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
By the way.
Yeah. So yeah, apologies if you're dealing with server splits and that's obnoxious. We apologize. We'll definitely learn.
We'll have a better system, I think.
Yeah, we're definitely learning as we go through this. So thank you for hanging with us. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Out of rumors now. We've got enough of that stuff. Let's just talk about devices in general that have sort of topped the charts over the last week. So the first thing is Galaxy Note 2, which here's the Galaxy Note 2. So I have the blue one from T-Mobile. Sort of put some first impressions up this morning. Basically, my thoughts on the Note 2 are it's a really, really cool device. It's also a giant device. The S Pen functionality, all that stuff's really nice. It's super fast. It's got Jelly Bean. It's sort of got everything you want. Really nice camera, quad-core processor. This doesn't have LTE because it's on T-Mobile, but all of the other versions will have LTE. The display is probably one of the best displays I've ever looked at. It's still Super AMOLED, but it's not Pentile anymore. So Samsung slowly keeps bumping up the display tech. They're not calling it a plus yet for some reason, but anyway, it's still about the best you can do. But overall, though, like I still can't figure out if I want something this big in my pocket all the time. And I mean, I'm sort of getting used to a little bit. It's definitely a two-handed device. But I mean, now when I hold the Galaxy S3, it just feels tiny. So I don't know if you guys can see these next to each other.
Oh, we can.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead and hold it up to your face so we can see how ridiculous you're going to take a call.
Do it.
Oh, yeah. So this is what it looks like.
Oh.
Look at this thing. So yeah, here's me making a call.
Yeah, no, bigger is always better. You look great.
I mean, I feel pretty good right now.
Yeah.
One sec, guys. One sec, I gotta take a call. Hello?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I have taken a couple calls on it, but now that I actually see myself talking on it, this is sort of ridiculous. But anyway, if you don't care what you look like talking on the phone, or if you don't even take that many phone calls, which a lot of people don't now, it really is a pretty nice device. So I don't know. Let's just kind of go around. I just want to hear like what you guys think about such a. Well, actually, I know what Ron thinks, but you can weigh in anyway. But like Tim, do you ever want a device this big?
Yeah, I do. Just to try it out. I haven't had one that big, at least like that's a phone. I have a 7-inch tablet, which isn't far off. But yeah, I wouldn't mind giving it a try. I don't know. I don't wear like super skinny jeans, but I don't know. They might be a little too tight for something like that. But we'll see. I wouldn't mind trying it out.
I mean, when you pull this thing out, you can't like one hand. Actually, they have software on there now that like slides the keyboard to the side, so you can actually one hand use the thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they actually realized that people might want to use it one-handed. But like I've tried to use it on the treadmill, and it absolutely does not work. Like I dropped it like 3 times. So Now,
No.
Eric or Ron, give me your thoughts on the phone tablet hybrid, not non-phablet.
You first, Ron. I want to hear this.
It's. I think, and I kind of mentioned this before. I mean, I think there definitely is a market for a device like this. I mean, we've seen people, you know, with the smaller tablets and kind of with the giant phones. I mean, some people bought the Streak when it first came out.
The Streak.
But that's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people have forgotten the context of this. Like, when we think back to what was it, 2009, maybe 2010, when the Streak first came out.
Yeah.
Everybody ridiculed it, and now it seems like the device that size is okay. There are no differences between the device. I mean, obviously specs have improved and stuff like that, but I mean, the only real difference between it is that one has a S Pen or a SPEN or whatever we're going to call that. So, I mean, it's not. It can serve a purpose, but I don't know if it's really fitting. I mean, is anybody? I mean, how often do you really want to take notes with a stylus, or how often are you actually drawing with a stylus? I mean, there is a market for that kind of thing, but if you are, then I'm thinking you're probably going to want to get something like, you know, a larger screen to do that kind of thing. So
haven't they sold like 10 million of these globally or something? The first note.
Yeah,
Isn't it
something
crazy
like that.
I mean, I'm sort of wondering too. Like, it seems like such a small market product, but I mean, if they sold 10 million, that seems like quite a few. But
well,
I'm sort
they're
of
huge in Korea, I guess. I guess that's where they're really, really
Yeah.
big, which I don't know why. I don't know what the context is for that, but I haven't seen a ton of these things in the wild.
No, I mean, I haven't either, but at the same time, like, whenever we write about this Note 2 now, and, you know, most of our readers are Verizon, like, I don't know how many people just go, yes, this is my next device no matter what. So apparently people want to use a pen and they want to use a giant phone. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I mean, like I said, I like it. I just can't decide yet if I could use it on a daily basis or not. So I don't know. Eric, anything to add to that?
When I reviewed the original Note, I didn't have a huge problem with it. I don't know if I would like it as my everyday phone, but you know, if you're not using it as your everyday phone, then why would you have it, kind of thing. But overall, I didn't hate it, but I didn't exactly love it either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting product. So, all right. Anyway, moving on from Galaxy Note 2. So the other thing I just did over the weekend was review the Razer HD and Razer Max HD. So this is, I believe this is the Max HD. You almost can't tell the difference. So Razer Max and Razer Max HD, basically in my review I said they're really nice phones. There should definitely only be one, though. It should be the Razer Max HD, and it should just be called the Razer HD. There's no need for the two different. I mean, you can't even, when you put these next to each other, if you guys looked at the review, you almost couldn't tell the difference. I actually had to put a note in the review that said the one on the left is the Max, because it's just, you know, the display's nice. It's just not as good as what LG's doing. It's also not as good as what Samsung's doing now with the Note 2. It's only got a gig of RAM. Not that that's a little bit of RAM, but you know, when everybody else is sort of bumping up all the specs in their phones to be some of the craziest things we've ever seen, Motorola seems to have put this product out like 6 months too late. I mean, the Galaxy Note 2 came out. I'm sorry, the Galaxy S3 came out in July, I believe, and it, you know, has better specs than this phone. So while it's a really nice product, I just don't. It's tough for me to just say like this is the greatest phone ever made and everyone should go buy it. So I am curious as to how many people bought it. So if you're in the chat, I would love you to just say yes, I bought the Razer HD and tell us why. But do you guys have any thoughts on the Razer HD? I don't know if any of you guys have had a chance to use this phone yet. Did you read the review? What do you guys think about the Razer HD? Anybody?
Looks pretty hot. I like the back. I
You do
don't
like
know.
the Kevlar?
I don't know if everyone's like really like the whole Kevlar being on the entire backing, but I like it, and the display looks really nice. So I think Moto did well.
Yeah, I mean, coming from
Although, sorry, but like you said, there shouldn't be a Droid Razer HD. There should only be the Droid Razer HD Max, but call it the HD without the Max, but just have it with the big battery, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, it should just be the Droid Razer HD, and it should have the 3,300 milliamp hour battery and the 32 gig internal storage.
Right.
And, yeah, there should just be one, but it's clearly a marketing move, and you know, it probably worked with the first Razer, so they're doing it again. But yeah, I mean, when you go from the you mentioned that the display looks nice, and when you first turn it on, it does look nice, but when you come from like the Optimus G that you and I both had, and to this, it almost just looks kind of dull and not that awesome. But I mean, to most people that's using their first HD display, it is a really nice display. It's just, I don't know. And this iPhone band around the whole thing sort of bugs me too. But anyway, anybody else have any thoughts about the Razer HD?
Nah. I haven't gotten to play with it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing the stuff with the smart actions and that kind of thing. That stuff which they introduced with the first Razor, that stuff's good. I mean, it's so they have good software ideas, and I like what they're doing to minimize stuff. I like their clock widget and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
we've got a lot of guys in the chat asking how that display stacks up against the Galaxy S3.
Galaxy S3. Yeah.
The display compared to the Galaxy S3, I think they're probably. I mean, they might even be the same. They're both still pentile. To me, the Galaxy S3's display seems to it almost seems to like float more towards the top of the screen, which I like. It almost feels like you're actually touching it. And the Razer HD seems to be just slightly lower. I mean, I don't even know if you can tell the difference. It just seems to be more up top. I think the colors on the Galaxy S3s are slightly, I don't know, they just might pop a little bit more. This might be a little brighter, but I mean, they're basically the same display, I think. So I don't know. It'd be tough to pick a winner. The best part about when you compare those to the Razer, though, is that it has on-screen navigation keys, which helps with Google Now and stuff like that going forward. So I don't know. They're sort of a toss-up. The Galaxy S3 definitely has a better camera, and it has 2 gig of RAM. So I don't know, kind of a toss-up. All right, so moving on from Razer talk. So we could do this quickly, or we can hang on it for a while. But this whole iPad Mini versus the Nexus 7 thing. So I'm not gonna lie, I got a little offended when Phil Schiller was standing up on stage and just going off about how awful the Nexus 7 was compared to the iPad Mini, and then the guy reveals the price, and it's like $80 to $150 more, or $80 to $130 more. And he's comparing like that the screen's bigger, and yes, we get that the screen's bigger, and you're also charging more. So why are you comparing these two products? And not only that, but the screen sucks. It's like 1024 by 768 on this iPad Mini, and yeah, it's really thin and it's made. I don't know. It sort of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. So Ron, you said that you had some people that were interested in the iPad Mini. So what did you think of that whole comparison? Fair? Did it piss you off like it did me? I don't know.
No, it didn't. So I think, I mean, the one point that he brought up in particular that I thought was kind of dead on was the holding it horizontal. And I think that like you show the side by side and just having, I mean, obviously haven't played with the iPad Mini, but I've played with the Nexus 7, and there's a reason why it didn't come with landscape from the start. It's not designed for that. It's a portrait tablet. So I mean, if you're using it for that, it's great. But if you want to do anything landscape, it's not designed for that. So. Are all the comparisons totally fair? No, but I think overall, I mean, when people are looking to buy a tablet, they're going to be looking between these two, even though there is a price difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people are used to expecting to pay more for an Apple product, so they'll have to look at these two things head to head and kind of make that decision. So I don't think it was totally out there. I mean, obviously there are some things that Apple exaggerates, and that's what they do, but
Yeah, I think Schiller actually came out today and defended the price, and rightfully so. I mean, everything they've produced and put a price tag on, people have bought like crazy for the last however many years. So
yeah, and I think the other thing to consider too. I mean, when you look at the plan for each of these devices, I mean, Google's following Amazon's playbook here and making a device that's super cheap and trying to get eyes, not people to buy it. They're not hoping that people buy it. I mean, they want people to buy into the ecosystem, that kind of thing, but they're not making money on the device. Apple is. And there's a huge difference in how those two companies make money. So, I mean, you have to take that into account as well. Google's not trying to make money on the Nexus 7 at all.
Right. Yeah, and that's actually true. So Apple's going to make a ton of money on the actual device itself, and then a ton of money on the ecosystem. You just can't really beat that. Tim or Eric, you got anything to say about the iPad versus the Nexus 7?
Well, no.
Actually, Tim, I know you were upset about the new. Not that I want to keep talking about Apple products, but you were upset about the new iPad 4, basically the big one.
Yeah, that too.
Oh yeah, well, it just upset me just because seeing as how iPad 3rd gen came out only 6 months ago, now we got iPad 4, and I feel bad for anyone that just kind of bought the 3rd gen because now you're out in the cold with a 30 pin, and you're screwed. Yep. So, and then other than that, I wanted to talk about how a lot of people who were buying, it kind of ties in with the Nexus 7 because a lot of people were upset that Google would release a 32 gig for the same price as the 16 gig. But then again, I mean, look at poor Apple customers who are just basically, they're getting 50% faster CPU performance and really, Google buyers are just complaining about 16 gigs of storage. So, I don't know. I feel bad for the Apple users, and go Android fanboys. Keep going.
Eric, anything to add to that?
I don't know. I think the really telling thing was you sent me Apple's stock live feed after after the event went down the other day, and they lost like 20 points or something that day. I think that was really telling, more than, because this thing's going to sell like crazy anyway. But still, I think the shareholders for Apple were kind of a little bit confused even with this new thing, and releasing a new iPad 4 6 months after the 3.
Yeah, I mean, the minute they had said iPad Mini, their stock just went and dropped like $20 or something. But I think it's probably back up there today. So, all right. Anyway, let's move out of devices, and we're going to jump to just OS talk, OS updates, because we had a few at the end of last week. Verizon actually approved ice cream sandwich for the Bionic, the LG Lucid, and the LG Spectrum, and they all started rolling out basically over the last couple of days. So Bionic owners, if you're in the chat, we feel great for you because you finally got your update after I don't know how many delays. LG Lucid people, I don't know if there's that many out there, but congrats to you as well. And LG Spectrum owners as well, because LG Spectrum owners I think have actually been waiting longer than anyone. They were supposed to get the update, I believe, like second quarter, and LG and Verizon just sort of went silent on it. Then they had like a forum like moderator at their own LG forum say like the update was done like 4 months ago, and then it just disappeared again. And then there was talk that it wasn't going to get it. I don't know, just a giant mess. So anyway, ICS for 3 phones. Verizon approved it at the same time. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of Verizon updates. So on that note, though, Motorola also came out and said that Jelly Bean is coming to the new Razr HD, Razr Max HD, Razr M by the end of this year. And then they also said that it's coming to the Bionic, Droid 4, and Razr Max, the original 2, sometime next year. They haven't actually told us a specific time frame. We've heard from sources that it's probably Q1. That sounds like it could be a little fast, but you never know. So anybody have anything to add just on OS updates? Do we just need to we should play like one of those really cheesy Google Hangout sounds to like cheer on everyone that got it, but I don't know. I mean, I know none of you guys have these devices, I don't think, so you probably don't care, right?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and predict that. I bet you the Bionic and...
There we go. There we go.
Yay, Verizon.
I'm betting the Bionic and Droid 4 actually won't get Jelly Bean. I'm going to go ahead and predict that.
Oh, wow. I'll take you up on that bet.
Yeah,
they are going to get it.
I can see the Bionic getting shafted. I can see that.
Bionic for sure. I will bet a lot of money on that one not getting anything.
I will too.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of interesting to see the Droid 4 get ICS like months ago, right? And it's sort of, I don't even know that it's an inferior device. It's just not that good of a device. But yeah, it got it way before the Bionic. I'll take you up on that. We'll figure out a bet later, but I think I have this feeling that it will actually get that. Other than OS updates, those are sort of the only ones that really received anything. So let's move out of there. And let's just talk about games real briefly, since we're inching closer towards the end of when we should be doing contest winners. So you guys, Eric, Tim, you got any games to talk about this week?
Eric?
I have actually been playing a game called Indestructible from the Google Play Store. It's free. It's basically a little mini Twisted Metal where you drive around cars and just blow everybody else up for no reason. You don't really ask why. You just do. And it's not, terribly in-depth or anything, but it's good fun. It's got the whole upgrades thing. You get coins for blowing up cars. I got a laser on my car earlier today, so I'm just going around lasering other people the whole time. It's pretty fun.
You're lasering. Are there in-app purchases or anything, or is it just free to play forever?
Oh yeah, I mean it's in-app purchases, but it's not to where you have to depend on it. You get enough coins to where you can play comfortably without spending money.
Okay, that's
Are there any knockoff Twisted Metal characters in there?
No, not that I saw of yet. I think they kind of stayed away from it because it was pretty close to Twisted Metal as it was.
Yeah. I need Axel.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Tim, what are you playing?
What am I playing? I got stuck playing the game that I wrote up today, actually. It was called Infinite Monsters. And it's just super cheesy and easy, but that's what was kind of making it fun to play. You could just blast through a level. You play as a character. and you go left and right, and you just keep shooting your gun as fast as you can, and to kill all the zombies. And then at the end, you gradually go right, and as you get to the end of the level, there's like a big boss character, and it kind of keeps you busy. And then at the end of the level, you upgrade your gun, or you get a bigger shotgun or bigger laser gun or whatever you can. And I was kind of having fun playing with it, and I wrote it up today.
And are there in-app purchases in that too? Is it
as
free?
far as I know, no. But I looked, and I couldn't see any like upgrade your gun with 99 cents or whatever. So
it is free or it's not free?
it's free.
Okay. Oh, it has ad supported though, right?
Ad supported.
Ad supported.
Yep.
Okay.
But not like in game. But while you're upgrading your gun, there's an ad. But not while you're actually playing. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so let's talk about apps that we're just using, new apps that we found, or just apps that are old that we started using now, or anything like that. The one I wrote up the other day was just Samsung's Tactiles app, and it got updated to version 3.0. And previously, Samsung's Tactiles, if you guys don't know, it's like an NFC. It's basically an app that records NFC stuff onto NFC tags. And so this new version it's like columned, it's sort of holo themed. You can swipe between columns, got profiles, things like that. Anyway, they allow you to write multiple actions to an NFC tag now. So you could write like turn Bluetooth off, silence, Wi-Fi, and send an email to this person if you wanted to. I mean, you can sort of get pretty technical with it. So now that everything's basically has an NFC chip in it, it's sort of nice to see at least somebody supporting that whole ecosystem, because NFC just seems to have not been able to take off because no one really cares about it. So anyway, I've just been using Samsung Tactiles. Ron, what are you using?
The app that I've been using lately, I've been using constantly, is Pocket. So it's a read it later app. So there's kind of a big push when Instapaper came to Android, which had been a iOS exclusive. And so I tried that out for a little bit because a lot of people had said, they really like using Instapaper. I ended up trying Pocket, and I like it a lot more. So basically what you can do is it's just a way for you to save articles. You can use it in a browser or anything else like that. I use it in Twitter because Twitter is basically my replacement for an RSS feed. So if I see an article that I want to read later or just want to look at later, you can just use Android's built-in share feature and share that to Pocket, and it adds it, and it puts it in a nice, clean layout. It does videos very well, where those are all kind of built in. And they recently added so that you can have, because Android has text-to-speech built in, so you can just switch that on and it'll just read the article to you as well, which is kind of nice, especially if you're in the car and there's like a longer article that you want to have read. It's a nice feature. So that's what I've been using lately. So it's a great app. Check it out.
Yeah, I use Pocket. It's like one of my favorite apps. I use it constantly throughout the day, so definitely know what you mean. Tim, what are you using? Anything special?
I don't know how special it is, but I'm using like the new native Zagat app that Google put out since they bought it. They revamped it, put it on the Google Play, and it's pretty awesome. When I don't have my other app, it's called Kelix. When I don't have Kelix there to kind of offer like good restaurant reviews and stuff for me, because Kellen loves to go out and find a whole bunch of nice restaurants. But either way, so when I don't have him to recommend something, I've just been using the Zagat app a lot lately, actually, finding some sweet taco spots. A lot of tacos. Just a lot of tacos. I've been having this taco crave lately. The weather change has just got me into this. I want some southern heat in my life. And that's it.
Nice. All right, Eric, you got an app you've been using lately?
Yeah, speaking of food, I'm all about my cheap food and my pizza. And I don't know, I know Domino's is a hot topic in the pizza discussion, but they have one of the best applications that I've used on Android to date. Like, it is smooth, it is easy to sign in, it'll remember your order, you can deliver it straight from your app, you can make your pizza. It's even got the little pizza tracker thing on there. It is, like, I was blown away when I found out how good their application was. And there's a Domino's across the city from me, so I use it all the time.
I haven't had Domino's in I don't know how long. Actually, I had it the last time when they first came back, and they were like, "We're the new Domino's. We really love you, and we're gonna put garlic butter all over the crust." Then I actually got it,
good.
And it was like $5 for like 2 pizzas or something like that. But you had to go pick it up. Yeah.
It's so cheap, but it's so good.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So anyway, let's move on from apps, and Ron, it's your stage. You get to just sort of, this is your time to just sort of rant, bring up a topic that you, I don't know, feeling fiery about. So go for it.
Okay, cool. So the thing that I've been thinking about, we got this Google event coming up, and the big thing I've been thinking about, I've been looking at these new LG Nexus renders and everything else like that, and the beautiful, manly, shiny, glossy back, and so I'm hoping that Google doesn't disappoint us. They have the Galaxy Nexus, and have brand new version of Android on there, and thinking back, going from Gingerbread to ICS is just such a huge difference in performance and style and look, everything else like that, and features. So I'm not expecting that software-wise, but I'm hoping that that Google starts kind of pulling their stuff together. They've been doing well with innovating. But their implementation hasn't always been great. So, they have the Galaxy Nexus. It's, a good device unless you want to take a picture or look at a screen or hope that your screen doesn't get scratched. I don't think I've seen any Galaxy Nexus that don't have a scratch screen unless they have like a screen protector. And it's not like those are things that they couldn't have found during testing or anything else like that, or things they could have thought through. So, so I'm hoping, and then the same thing with the Nexus 7, fantastic Android tablet, easily the best one out there. But you can't use it in landscape, which is kind of annoying, and I would love to really be able to take advantage of that. So I'm hoping, maybe with this possible Nexus 10 and with their new Nexus devices, that I'm hoping that Google they've been doing well with innovation. I hope they keep pushing that, but that their devices are solid all the way around. We keep having these strange, not only with Google, but like Samsung announced the Galaxy S3 Mini, and I'm like, all right, finally they're going to have a smaller device for regular humans to hold, and then they put horrible specs in there, and I'm like, what? Why would you ruin that? What's the point of even releasing that? So, so I don't know if you guys want to talk about that at all, but that's been on my mind.
Tim, let's hear it.
Let's hear what? Oh, sorry, I keep getting kicked from the
Yeah, me too.
IRC, and I'm trying to just keep going back and forth through it because I know we're gonna pick winners soon, so I'm trying to get it working. It's a piece of crap.
I kind of agree with you, Ron. The thing I've always sat there and I've sat at Google press conferences, and I'm like, all right, if you can sit here and say that this phone will be out today and ships next week, you will make a good impression. Google seems to have this aversion to getting things ready, and that's one thing that Apple does. When they announce something, it's ready to order today. Like, it's going to ship in like 3 days. Google really needs to see that preparing things in advance has a really big effect on their products and how you view it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess what I look at what Google's doing and what I'd like to see is, rather than, I feel like software is getting sort of where we want it to be, but and the hardware, and I sort of see in your notes, they sort of almost go all the way, but they don't really fully ever go all the way. Even with this LG Nexus, right? It's like they're stuck between, because they hate carriers. They won't go full on with the most expensive device, best device ever, because it'll be too much in their Play Store. It'll be $600. So they cut back on corners, by dropping the storage down or something like that, and or cutting out an LTE radio, and then they price it, at $350, which is nice. But I still don't know that people are ready to go in the U.S. to go buy unlocked phones. So I don't know. I like what Google keeps doing, but I feel like they're pushing in sort of weird directions that are sort of hard to follow. Are you trying to make the best handset ever for Android, or are you trying to mass market one that is affordable? Yeah, it's sort of hard to follow exactly what they're doing. Look at the Nexus Q. I don't even know if that thing exists anymore. It's like they take a lot of chances, which Google's always done, but it's tough to tell if they're ever. I don't want to call them not fully invested in something like this, but it just, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with that.
I think you're right. And I think the reason why you're not sure is because it's not clear what they're doing. They come out with devices that are decent, and the Galaxy Nexus, when it first came out, specs wise, it was a good device, but there are a lot of weird random things where it's like, well, why wouldn't you put a better camera in there?
Right.
You know, was nobody testing that? Was nobody looking at that? You know, they had the, oh, look how fast you can take pictures. They're all really crappy, but you can take a lot of really bad pictures quickly.
Right.
Like that's, especially when you have that new headlining feature, they had to have tested that camera.
Right.
So that, you know, and nobody drops their device, nobody puts their device in their pocket to notice, oh, this is getting scratched to hell. Like that's, so I mean, they got to go through this, and hopefully, you know, they're starting with this Nexus Q thing. I mean, maybe at some point we'll start seeing a device that's totally made by them, where they're, instead of, you know, going out, they have their own manufacturer now, so maybe we'll finally start to see this. But, you know, I think they gotta push. They're pushing in the software department a lot. You know, they've gotten into parity with iOS and moving beyond that. You know, stuff like Google Now and stuff like that, where, you know, Apple can't possibly be getting that kind of information. So they'll be able to do all sorts of crazy stuff with that, which will be awesome. But their hardware, they got to make sure they've got the best devices out there. So, and that's just, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that. Why wouldn't you want to push the, you know, to the edge of that in every single way?
Well, I was on Twitter, I think it was last week, and Black Panda, you know, the mobile guru that we know and love, brought up a good point. You know, do we see Nexuses, the Nexus program, do we see them as Halo devices, or do we see them as cheap devices that they can mass market, they can put out and get Android's name out there? You know, everybody's clamoring for all these high specs in the Nexus, but then they don't want to turn around and spend $500, $600 on it. You know, everybody likes that cheap that you can buy from the Google Play. So I think that was an interesting debate on whether we want them high end or we want them low end.
Yeah, but I think that's what's so confusing is what are they trying to do? Create really high-end devices that are expensive, or are they trying to create cheap, or are they trying to be in the middle? It's tough to tell. Like, like $350 is a good price for an unlocked phone, but I mean, if they want to mass market something, like going to a carrier and tying it to them on a subsidy is a better way to get that device out there than selling it unlocked to the Google Play Store. But we all know that they don't like that because that's someone has to approve updates and all this stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the U.S. market's almost just not the right market for Google to do what they're trying to do right now. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Or they need to push harder in their negotiations. I mean, Apple, when they push out an update, it goes everywhere. You know, they don't have to. I mean, they had to negotiate that somehow.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what Google's got to do to get that same deal, but I mean, that's what they got to do. And that's, I mean, obviously there's a lot of tension there between, you know, with Wallet and ISIS and everything else. There's a lot of tension there that they're not really talking about, and we'll see if that, you know, comes to fruition with this device, you know, with this new Nexus, if it's going to be on Verizon or not.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it is. I think they're so done with carriers. The unfortunate thing about that is they're also not going to make this an LTE phone. So, which is like, I don't want to call it a step backwards, but it sort of is. I mean, we were all laughing at the iPhone last year because it didn't have LTE, and the Nexus, which is going to get all sorts of coverage on Monday across the entire country, they're all going to say, yeah, but it doesn't even have LTE. So,
Yep.
Yeah, they've got to push that through. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So, all right. Well, anyways, let's move on now to contest picking. And so, Tim, I know you're glued to the Giants game, but I'm gonna ask you to go jump into the chat since mine is definitely kicking and dying all over the place. So, so everybody that's in the chat, Tim is gonna go in and pick the 3 winners randomly, send you a private message, and basically he's just gonna tell you how to contact him, and so we can get you guys picked. So, if you're not in the chat, now would be a good time to jump to Droid Life, jump in the chat. You have about 30 seconds before Tim jumps in and starts.
Oh, come on. We'll give him 1 minute. We'll give him 60 seconds. So at 7:01 or 7:02, I'll pick.
Yeah, so
10:02.
pick one. And as Tim is counting that down, we're just going to wrap up with a couple of last-minute things. So, one of the things Eric's been talking to me a lot about is this new Chromebook for, I think it's like $249, right? And it was on sale at Google from Google Play, and I don't know if it sold out right away, if they just ran through them, if they didn't produce enough so that it just looks like they sold through them, if it wasn't really available. I don't know. Catch me up on this Chromebook thing, because I know you've been dying to get a hold of a Chromebook for a long time now.
Ever since they announced the CR48, you know, way back in the day, I'd say that it was just last year. But I've really been intrigued by Chrome OS. I mean, it's not going to replace my laptop. It's not going to, you know, you can't do Photoshop on it. You can't do heavy lifting on it. There's a lot of things you can't do on it. But I think for what it was a light, fast netbook that if you didn't, you know, want to pay a lot, I think it does really well. And before today, or before the other day, it was just priced way too high. But I think $250 is a fantastic price point that they hit. And so far, all the reviews I've been reading are that the build of it is very good. You know, Chrome OS is still kind of young. It's still got some places to go. But if you're looking for a netbook for your kid, or somebody who's not very tech savvy, it's not a bad deal at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad. So I'm just sort of torn on Chrome OS because I used the that first Chromebook they gave out at I/O, I think like 2 years ago, and it was so frustrating to use. Like I took it on a weekend trip up to Seattle, and I was like driving on a Friday and still trying to work on the road, and I couldn't do anything. Yeah, because you have to download like a really crummy like Chrome OS app to like edit photos, and like none of them work properly. And so for someone like me that technically is sort of a power user, I mean I use all kinds of programs on a computer. Like it definitely does not work for me, but I could see like it could work in a classroom setting, which I know they're trying to push, or even some business settings and things like that. But as a power user, I definitely can't use it. Have you had any time with a Chromebook or something wrong?
Yeah, a little bit. So, and I think they're a fantastic concept device. I don't know if it's something that it's not clear exactly where they would fit into. But the more I've thought about my own usage and everything else like that, probably about 95% of the work that I do is in the web. So I mean, I could definitely use one and have no problem using it. So I think it's just I think one big barrier is that when people think about using something that doesn't have any actual applications running on it at all, based in the web, that doesn't make any sense to a lot of people. I think, I need to have Word or something like that. Which usually isn't the case because most people, I mean, obviously you have stuff like Google Docs and that kind of thing where you can totally do, word editing and stuff like that. So I mean, it's got its place. So I think it's a really, really interesting device, especially at this price point when they first introduced them.
I think they were like $500, $600 or something like that.
Yeah, it was a crazy price. I was super interested at first, and I saw the price. I was like, never mind. They obviously don't want anyone to buy these. Yeah. So, especially when you go back to when they were first announced, netbooks were on their decline, and I mean, obviously they still exist. But when you can buy a Windows netbook for cheaper that does everything that a Chromebook does and more, I mean, again, Google, look ahead, like just for 3 seconds, just look ahead and see what the competition is doing. Then make a decision. I mean, there's no way those things were costing that much. So yeah, they gotta figure that out. So it looks like it's a step in the right direction, but it's at the same time though, it's kind of an odd thing that Google's kind of jumping into this. It looks like they're trying to do some sort of vertical integration, but they don't have really a lot of stuff in there to really make it work mass market. So I'm not sure. Again, it seems like a weird experiment and nothing more.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Chrome OS like carries on into the future, if they'll try to merge it with Android or do something weird. I don't know. It seems like I mean, I don't know anyone that actually uses Chrome OS day to day, so we'll see. Tim, how are we doing on contest winners?
We're doing terrible, Kellen. All right, I finally got back in, so I'm getting my winners. I'm messaging them right now. I got kicked 5 times in between then and now, so
that's crazy.
I should have a client up, but I didn't download a client to deal with it. So I will, and we'll get it all solved for next time. But I'm messaging them right now.
All right.
And I'm just awaiting my replies.
Okay. Apologies, everyone, for the technical difficulties again in the chat as well as earlier in the show. We're learning. This is the second episode, so we will probably not use IRC because it clearly can't handle the massive Droid.
Can't handle the awesome.
Definitely can't. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and actually, I just want to toss out this one thing. Granny Smith is obviously I've talked about this game way too much, but the fact that they dumbed down the final space level so that everyone can beat it just drives me nuts. So, anyways, that is the Droid Life Show, Episode 2. All those difficulties will hopefully never happen again. We'll find a better chat. We won't have technical difficulties at the start. Thanks again to NVIDIA for giving away the 3 Nexus 7 16GB tablets. Next week, our episode might not be on Wednesday because Wednesday is Halloween. So we might change it to Tuesday. We will let you guys know somehow through the site. Who knows? There may be another giveaway in store for that as well. So anyways, Kellen, this is the whole Droid Life crew. Thanks again for joining us. And we'll see you guys tomorrow on the site.
Adios.
Peace.
Bye, guys.